Welcome to the offseason here in the Nevada Wolfpack Dynasty. This will be the first official offseason where we get to pretty much bring in our guys on this roster and start to build the team how we want to. So the first phase in the offseason is players leaving, and we knew this would be one of the biggest features and biggest moments of this series. Who is going to leave after year number one? 8-5 isn't a bad team to leave, but as a small school, I can understand players wanting to get more brand exposure, like Herschell Turner, who highlights this list of players leaving. Stone Combs, also our leading tackler on this list of leaving. Even our walk-on quarterback, Bo Brewster, is also leaving due to pro potential at 69 overall, which is pretty incredible. We have a long list of guys on this list, and we will have to choose wisely. We have 5 persuasion attempts. Now, we have all of our quarterbacks leaving, literally every single one on the roster. I did not expect this. Even though some of them did have that pro potential reason, I did not think that having a low overall, they would still end up leaving. Kai Woods and Herschell Turner, probably our worst nightmare. They end up leaving, and so does Caleb Ramsor, who was a graduating senior. Kai Woods is the guy I want back the most, simply because I think that he has the biggest chance of returning out of he and Herschell Turner. I also really liked him when he got the football. He seemed very explosive and stayed on the football field a lot more often than he didn't. We lose 6 receivers in the receiving room, and we lose a lot of guys on offense total. I mean, this is just a mass exodus. And to add to that, we will miss 4 cornerbacks in our room. So quarterback was a definite position of downside this season number 1. And I think that the only guy I'm looking to bring back is Edward Rambo. So we will try to persuade him. He has a pro potential of C, and that is not going to persuade him. So we are 0 for 1. Kai Woods is second. I want to bring Kai Woods back. Championship contender at a D+, and he has not been persuaded either. Right guard Tyler Miller, 65 overall redshirt freshman. Well, it's extremely low chance of persuading. He also will leave. We are officially 0 for 3. Dylan Lopez, a center who would be the starting center coming into next year. I need to keep these offensive linemen. He has not been persuaded either. And then finally, we decide to go after Julius Barnes-McGee at corner. We need one of these corners back, and nobody will stay. The reality of being a small school is that these players want to move on. I decide to look at other teams to see if the same thing happened to them, like UNLV, and they had a ton of guys leaving, so they will have to go through the same process we will. So it kind of makes me feel a lot better knowing that UNLV is losing a lot of guys too. Actually, they ended up making a bowl game, which was pretty funny. I thought the rules were that you had to beat 6 FBS teams, but I guess the game does not have that in here. I decided to do a little scouting on players hitting the portal before they actually did. Kamari Smith is a really good athletic tight end who I really like. He's going to be a freshman. He has freshman eligibility, and those are the guys I want to try to acquire, the guys that have freshman eligibility. Luke Harpring is a guy, redshirt freshman. He's going to be a sophomore next year. He's pretty good out of Georgia Tech, 83 speed. Elijah Newby is the guy that I really want, though. He is a true freshman this year, did not touch the football field. Look at the upside from the skill caps. But the thing that I really like is that quickness, 92 acceleration, 87 speed. He's got gold, quick jump. If we can develop his skills more, he could be a really good player. Josh Hopper came up here as a guy that has really good power moves starting out as a freshman right now. Good block shedding. He could be an excellent run defender. So I am looking out for him in the portal as well. And then we officially hit the offseason recruiting stage. Obviously, we're going to have no guys drafted. That was really no surprise. But we have a ton of team needs. You can see at the top here. We do decide to look at a lot of portal players because I do need to fill these needs, especially in the secondary. We lost every single starter in our secondary, every corner, every safety. So we're definitely going to need to replenish there. You know, a guy that's interested is Emmett Johnson, running back from Nebraska. That is very interesting, and we are going to go after him. Elijah Newby does end up locking us out. He was our guy that I really wanted. Kamari Smith locks us out too. He's not interested. Josh Hopper, though, is interested, so I'm going to add him to the board. His deal breaker is playing time. He's definitely going to get it with me. So I decide to add some of these players in the portal, like Emmett Johnson, who ran for 1,000 yards last season. That would be a huge get in the portal. Josh Hopper, obviously, I just talked about him, but he is actually interested in going to UNLV. Cooper Flanagan, tight end from Notre Dame, along with Trey Farmer, outside linebacker. We need that definitely coming in next season from Clemson. Myron Robinson, outside linebacker from Arizona. Tyler Armstead, cornerback from Penn State. Just a lot of guys I'm adding around the board here, like Sion Luelea from Oregon. It's just going to be very, very interesting to see who does commit. And then Marcus Radcliffe, who had 4 interceptions for Texas A&M last year. And then Chester Moats was not a transfer, but a guy that we decided to add. So I decide to, after adding about 10 or so transfer portal guys, I decide to just go after all of them pretty aggressively. Hopper, we're going to put 50 points on. Emmett Johnson, we're going to put 50 points on. Cooper Flanagan. Kenyon Clark is a transfer left tackle. We're going to put a lot of points on him as well. We're going to put 50. Trevor McKenna, another transfer freshman. I like getting these younger transfer players in hopes that their deal breakers are similar to what we do well, kind of like, you know, proximity to home if we could get that, playing time for sure. These guys are going to play. These aren't the best guys in the portal because a lot of those guys are locking us out. But I do decide to go after a lot of guys. Myron Robinson is one of those guys. I do want to lock up our current high school recruits as well. So Mike Bandy is very, very close, 6'5" receiver who can run every route on the tree. I really like his upside. Rick Gaskin, 91 speed. He's going to be a speedster for this offense. He's close to committing. Trey Milano, also a guy in the middle of that defense. Quinn Willies, an agile guard, it looks like, and he is not even scouted, but we are second on his list, so I'm going to try to send the house to bypass Maryland. And then Darren Yeast is a center that I do like as well. And then Dennis Briggs as well. We scouted him. He's a pretty good edge rusher. I want to make sure we have guys that we aren't necessarily going to be starters year one, but we can develop. But I do decide to give up on some races like Miguel Silvestro. Obviously, like if you're in second place and you're pretty far behind, there's no point in keeping those guys around. So I do end up adding some filler guys like Taj Sermons, a 1-star quarterback who will be renamed to a walk-on if we do end up getting him. So we advance on in recruiting here in the offseason. Mike Bandy does commit. He is the first guy to commit here in the offseason, but the board is not going to change too much. Bandy is going to be a guy that I really, really like, and I'm going to enjoy really developing. But hopefully that conference prestige stays at C+ after all these Mountain West Conference teams leave. I do decide to turn the heat up on a couple of these guys, like Sion Leole. He is a cornerback out of Mountain View, California, a transfer, 6'4", by the way. He's got awesome size. Emmett Johnson, we end up in second place throughout this process. He's looking to go to Virginia, and I just decide to try to hard sell him because if we're losing literally 3 of our 4 running backs, running back is definitely a big need, and I don't know how good these freshman running backs are going to be coming in, so I decide to hard sell him with clocked in. Hopefully he does end up liking that pitch. So we go on to the final week, signing day, to see who will commit to Nevada. And I want to show the crucial ones. Cooper Flanagan, the tight end out of Notre Dame, will commit. He was definitely a big get. Josh Hopper, the defensive lineman, edge from Minnesota. And then Josiah Persinger. Now, I did not highlight Persinger earlier because I thought that he would not commit initially, but Persinger is a guy that is going to be around for a long time on this team. He played for Virginia last year as a true freshman. We end up getting all of our freshman recruits here in the top 10. DeMarco Aikman was the guy that locked us out for the entire year. He still ended up committing. Marquise Rahman is a cornerback I'm excited to develop. But look at the development traits. David LeCouture ends up being star dev. Incredible find here. We get our running back of maybe the now and the future with David LeCouture. The only thing is his change of direction is only 81. That's kind of problematic to me. He's got to get better in that area. Enrique D'Amico ends up committing a few weeks before the season ended. He's impact dev. Larry Tuilolo is an impact dev middle Mike linebacker. I'm excited for him as well. He's I think a cornerstone piece of the future. And then we find Greg Huntley, who we did not scout, is star development as a pass protector center. So that is big news for us. Another star development. We have found 2 out of high school as 3 stars. So that is excellent here, both on offense. Braden Cage ended up committing earlier in the year. He is just normal dev. He's more of a outside receiver. Trey Milano, a defensive tackle. He ends up being impact dev. Quinn Willies, the agile guard athlete that they list him as. He is normal dev. Duran Yeast, normal dev. You can just see our board. We're just getting a lot of commitments from the guys we have been recruiting. Terrell Ebron is normal dev. I thought he would be a little higher, even though he didn't have the little symbol there. I just thought his skill set might be a little higher. Dennis Briggs ends up being a impact dev. He is a, I'd say more of a run stuffing defensive end. So we will have him in on packages probably here in year 1 based on our depth chart. David Paul ends impact. He is a power back. I do like him. Deontay Stacy ends up committing. He was a JUCO linebacker. Josh Hopper ends up being impact dev. He's going to come in, I believe, as a sophomore this year. I'm not sure. But then Emmett Johnson does commit to Virginia. So we do miss out on Emmett Johnson. That kind of sucks. And how that recruitment ended up going, West Virginia ended up getting a visit from him in that final week and ended up jumping us anyway. So he finished 3rd in that race. Cooper Flanagan, he is star development. So he's going to come in as a senior. So he ended up transferring away, I believe, due to playing time. So he ends up coming to Nevada, and he's going to get that playing time for sure. Kenyon Clark, he ends up committing to Louisiana Tech. Trevor McKenna, left tackle. Remember, we lost a lot of offensive players, including some offensive linemen. That was a big get for us to get McKenna. Armstead ends up committing. Leole ends up committing to Air Force. That kind of sucks. Marcus Ratcliffe, he ends up committing, though, and that was a guy that was a starter last season for Texas A&M. So that's a big get for this defense. We do end up getting some players here like Moats we added here in the offseason. Taj Sermons was a filler player. Darren Bortles, we end up getting him. We needed some special teamers that had a leg. Josiah Persinger, though, I'm really excited for him. I want to see what he's going to look like just based on, what he looks like right now. He is star development as a transfer portal player. Kevin Anger, a will linebacker, and then Kyle Singleton. Some of these guys that we got through high school will be renamed as they are 2-star and below, or did not officially commit to us in the regular season. No animation. So that means that they're going to be walk-ons, meaning renamed to some of you guys who submitted your player in the community tab. We end up with the 60th ranked recruiting class, and this is how the game ranked our top recruits. Flanagan at number 1, Dennis Briggs at number 2. I'm surprised at that. I didn't have him ranked that high. LeCouture at number 4, Swain at number 5, Persinger at number 6. So just very, very interesting there. AJ Bianco ended up not even committing anywhere, so I think he's just out of the game at this point. Maybe he went to Division II, we'll call it that. Kai Woods goes to the Miami of Ohio. So very interesting move there. Stone Combs actually does not commit either. And then Herschell Turner ends up committing to BYU, where he will hopefully be the top guy there for Brigham Young in the Big 12. Now, UNLV had an interesting recruiting class. They ended up getting Braden Fowler Nicolosi, the quarterback transfer from Colorado State. So they will get better at quarterback this year. They also got Bro Booster, which is pretty funny. Our walk-on quarterback ends up going to our rival to hopefully play. So before getting into training and everything, we do have some coach upgrades, and I wanted to just upgrade some of the running back stuff. I didn't have too many points to do anything yet, so nothing that will affect the offseason. But we did get some reveal on some of our upgrade or our coach abilities from Steve Wheeler, who was the offensive coordinator we hired after he got fired from Stanford last year. He has a lot of motivator tree stuff here. Really digging that. He has some quarterback stuff that we can use to develop, probably not this offseason, but next offseason, and developing those skills of our young quarterbacks we got to commit. But I'm happy to see, that we have some of these abilities unlocked for our quarterbacks. And then looking at what he also has, he has that talent developer. So freshman and sophomore quarterbacks progress faster. That's going to definitely help our two young quarterbacks we had commit to the squad. And then he has a receiving game where pay it forward, bonus XP for wide receivers and tight ends drafted. And then freshman and wide receiver and sophomore tight ends will progress faster. So some of these abilities I really, really like. He was the head coach at Stanford, so it makes sense that he has a lot of these abilities. And then he has some scouting tree abilities too, with advanced look on quarterbacks, offensive linemen, and receivers and tight ends. Well, we go over to position changes, and we find out that Enrique D'Amico, we did not even scout him one bit, is 79 overall as an athlete with 96 throw power, 87 short, 81 deep, 82. Wow, medium. Well, that's just insane. He's going to be a quarterback. There's no doubt about that, but I did not expect 79 overall. That is pretty crazy. He's going to be an electric player to develop in this series. I can't wait. To add to that, our number one recruit on our board is Chet Harper with 77 overall. He was a 3-star bust, so I'm not sure what his skill caps will be. We'll have to see a little later. David LeCouture is going to be a running back. Since we lost all of our running backs, there's no other option there. He has to be a running back. And then Quinn Willies, 59 overall as an athlete, which is very interesting because that's pretty low. I thought he was going to be, in the mid-60s at least. And looking at our offensive line situation, it's not the greatest look. And he actually looks better as an edge rusher. So I look at my edge rushers and I think to myself, he would fit in quite nice as a young edge rusher to develop. He's got 84 finesse moves. So he could eventually be a really good pass rusher with 80 speed, 80 acceleration, 84 finesse moves. I think that's a good spot to develop him at. So let's talk about training results. And we get into this portion where we get some dev trait upgrades. And Nate Burleson II, after his pretty breakout sophomore year, ends up getting a dev trait boost up to impact. And then Jonathan Maldonado, who led our team with 6 sacks for his senior season, will be impact dev. That won't really affect him a whole lot, but it will give him probably some extra XP here in this session. So let's upgrade those two guys first. Nate Burleson's going to look to take over that number 1 wide receiver spot here in the depth chart. My biggest thing with Burleson is that he didn't create enough separation for me last year, and that's definitely where I want to spend his XP. I also want to just spend his speed here. We have 35 points to spend, and he's got only 1 skill cap left. So we upgrade that, he goes up to 90 speed. So, that is a really good, if it has to be the ceiling for his speed. 90 speed going into his junior year. We can't really upgrade any abilities. So I will put up the majority into route running. I do want him to create that separation, get open, become the number 1 target in this offense, and really take over where he can line up everywhere on the field, not just in the slot. And that's where I'm probably going to use him the most. So he goes up to 76 overall. That's an 8-point overall jump. So I'm very happy about his offseason. Jonathan Maldonado had 6 sacks last year, and I definitely want to see a jump in his production. I think with him, he is going to be a senior. He's not going to develop much more XP, so I want to get just kind of the most out of what his skill set is right now. So I'm just going to make his finesse moves a lot better, and hopefully he can create more sacks. And then I will just boost the power moves 1. I debated putting it all into finesse moves just to make him an elite pass rusher, but I also need him to stop the run as well. So he goes up to 77 overall. Still not at 80 overall, but still a good offseason for him. And hopefully, he can come up with a goal of a 10-sack season. That would be amazing. Josh Hopper, the transfer from Minnesota. Excited about him. He comes over with 30 XP, and I will just make him, a smarter player. He's going to be in on more run stuffing situations, run situations. He's going to be in when it's not necessarily third down and we need a sack. I don't think that's really his, strength, but I will put that power moves up to the max there. So he's got 88 power moves, and he is more of a run stopping defensive end. So his block shedding will be in the 80s as well. Josiah Persinger, cornerback out of Virginia, commits with 43 skill points, the most of any player in this offseason. He's got 92 speed. He's got excellent size on the outside. He's going to be amazing for us. I'm going to upgrade his zone coverage, and immediately he's above that 80 overall threshold for zone coverage, and then man coverage up. So we finally get to play some man coverage, and he's still got 12 skill points left after upgrading him here above 80 in both man and zone. But I'm going to keep going. We can't upgrade any physical skills, badges. And he goes up to 84 overall, the biggest jump of any player so far in the offseason, and could be the highest overall player on the entire roster when it's all said and done here in the offseason. Marcus Radcliffe was the most interesting guy. He comes over from Texas A&M, and he had 4 picks last year, was a starter, but what I really want from him is to be an enforcer on this defense. I need one of those guys that can make a difference stopping the run, stopping third downs, big hits, breaking up passes. So I'm going to boost everything that has to do with his run supports. I think that pass coverage is good enough as it is. I'm going to put up that pursuit. Now he's at 91 pursuit. He's got that blow up. Now I upgrade that. It's at silver. So he will definitely be an impact player, and then just upgrade that IQ for his senior year. And he's up to 82 overall. A very good safety here on the back end. And I think he's going to be a team captain coming into this season with all that experience. Now, I want to talk about guys that I talked about a little last year, but did not cover too much, like Justin Wyatt Jr. He's interesting because he was a guy that started on special teams as a freshman, and because he played, special teams, he actually is now a sophomore. He did not start one game at safety, so be careful when you have some of your guys you're developing. If they do start on special teams, they will actually lose that redshirt year. Now, the most interesting player on this roster is probably Ashton Hayes, for the reason because 3 guys that were ahead of him on the depth chart end up transferring away or graduating. So he is now the lead back in this room. How about that? Going from 4th string to starter in one off season. That's pretty crazy. 76 overall. I almost decided to upgrade his recoup to keep him on the field longer. I do think he needs to develop that elusiveness a little bit, and we do get him up to a 76 overall, 77 overall. Cooper Flanagan ends up being 81 overall right away. Transfer from Notre Dame. We just decide to put all the points on just getting open. I think he's going to be a mismatch nightmare, so I decide to max that out and then just max out his elusiveness, so when he gets the ball, he is a force with the rock. Trevor McKenna, who could end up being one of these starting tackles. Now, it's tricky because there is a bug in the game where if you switch positions, they get all their skill caps unlocked pretty much. So I won't be doing that. So I might be playing guys out of position. So Trevor McKenna, listed as a left tackle, could play right tackle too. Colin Banning was a guy that I talked about last season as a freshman guard. I was actually pretty surprised he didn't transfer away. I was actually banking on him transferring, and that's why I went after Quinn Willies as a guard. Ends up being a better edge rusher, but Colin Banning ends up staying. Only goes up to 79 overall, but I upgrade the attributes that really, are going to make him a good guard going into this season. Henry Sellards, I decide to upgrade his pass blocking the most. He's going to start at either right tackle, left tackle for sure. He is a sophomore that I want to keep around and make happy. The last guys I want to upgrade here, Marquise Ashley. He is going into his senior year. He was happy last year. He was actually 5th on the depth chart. I decided to promote him to be a starter, and he got that A+ playing time. Marshawn Brown, another guy that was down on the depth chart. I played him a lot more over those seniors that graduated, 6 total in that receiving core. I decided to just upgrade his hands, and he ends up having now 96 spectacular catch. So after all of that upgrading, here is what our roster kind of looks like. Flanagan with 86 overall is the highest. Persinger, 84 overall. And then Ratcliffe, 82 overall. So now we have 3 guys over 80 overall. And one of them is actually a cornerback that is a redshirt freshman. So I'm very, very happy about that. That's going to be absolutely fun to play with. And then obviously we have Flanagan and Radcliffe, who are both seniors. So in 2026 in real life, the Mountain West Conference is changing a whole lot. I do decide to add my own flair to it. We will play the conference championship games at State Farm Stadium, which is in Arizona. I just wanted to have a neutral site. I did not like that, getting the whole idea of getting a home game for the conference championship. Every game should be neutral for those. The Pac-12 gains 5 Mountain West teams: Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, along with Utah State. And then the Mountain West will gain 2 teams with Northern Illinois and UTEP. So our conference looks a whole lot different going into this season. Nevada stays put. Now, depending on what happens this season, we might move over to the Pac, I guess it's Pac-8 now, and we'll see who we end up bringing with us. Enrique D'Amico, let's just take a look at some of these incoming freshmen that we got. He looks amazing. The throw power has the potential to get up to 99. That's just insane. This might be the best player I've recruited as a 3-star in college football, either 25 or 26. He's just amazing right now. Now, conference prestige at a C+ at the current moment. I wonder if that's going to go down after the season starts because of the moves we made in the custom conferences. I'm not exactly sure. Chet Harper was our #1 recruit for all of the season. He is normal dev. Proximity to home is his deal breaker at B-, which is interesting because I'm going to play him this year. I think Enrique D'Amico is definitely the starter. I just cannot sit that talent on the bench. But Harper has no room for growth. All of his skill caps are already maxed out pretty much. He can just get better as his IQ is. He's got like 4 skill caps there, so he's going to hit his skill caps right away. So I'm guessing he's going to be at most like an 81 overall, something like that. So he definitely does have limitations. Running back is going to be an interesting position this year. David Paul is a power back we recruited. He's going to be a freshman. All of our backs are going to get playing time because we literally only have 3. It's David Paul, it's David LeCouture, along with Ashton Hayes. Here is LeCouture, star development, playing style at an A+. That's his deal breaker. Now, we're going to have to figure a way to run the ball effectively. These are very different backs than we had with Herschell Turner and Kai Woods. Each of them don't have great change of direction, which makes it a little tougher to run the football like we do to make cuts. So we're just going to have to figure that out. Rick Gaskin, 91 speed, true freshman. He's definitely going to play right away. I think that speed is just definitely going to set him apart. He is the only guy that has 91 speed on the offense. So he is the fastest guy. Obviously, Burleson just got that upgrade to 90 speed, so he is the second fastest receiver. But I do have a couple of other players I like as freshmen, but DeMarco Aikman is a gadget player. Now, he could eventually switch over to running back. That is definitely a thing. Hopefully, they fix that position change bug in the next update before we end this season. Mike Bandy, 6'5", wide receiver that can run the entire route tree. I'm going to see what I can do with him. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet, but, I do like what he can do. I do want to see Marshawn Brown kind of play out this year and see how he does, too, after upgrading him with his XP in the offseason. Greg Huntley, star development center. He only ends up being 64 overall. A lot of skill caps, though, but very raw right now. Quinn Willies has a lot of skill caps that are close to being maxed out. Dennis Briggs looks amazing. Look at his skill caps. He has the potential to be amazing depending on how much XP he gets. Eric Sendejo, who was our top defensive tackle, our top actually defensive recruit on our board out of high school. I want to highlight Larry Tuilolo because his skill caps are the best I've seen of any player. The IQ is all the way up, quickness all the way up, power, run stopping, pass coverage, pass rush, and they're actually pretty cheap to upgrade. So Larry Tuilolo is going to compete as a starter day one as our Mike linebacker. And then some of our young guys in the secondary like Marcus Rahman and Larry Swain, they're definitely going to get their shot at hitting the field also. We do end up switching Darren Bortles over from punter to kicker. I thought that was okay, to be honest, because a lot of punters in high school end up place kicking too. So I think that that's not a big deal. 65 overall, but 89 kick power, which is really good. We really need to make those long field goals. So going into this season, this is what our schedule will look like. We will open up against BYU and Wisconsin. BYU being the headliner game because that is the team that Herschell Turner transferred to. So Turner will return to Mackey Stadium already after transferring away. This is going to be a fun matchup for that. Then we play New Mexico to open up Mountain West Conference play. We will then play Texas State on the road. They were a 3-9 team a year ago. That will be our lighter non-conference game. And then we will play Stanford at home. So we play 2 on the road, 2 at home for our non-conference games. Then we get into Mountain West Conference play. The only real thing that's going to change here in Mountain West Conference play is obviously we're not playing Boise State. We're not playing the teams we're used to playing in the Mountain West. We will play UTEP on the road. We played them in that bowl game. Malachi Nelson ended up transferring away. And then we will play Northern Illinois for the first time in this series as they will come to our house. And then, as always, we will end the season versus UNLV, but we do get to play Hawaii, who we did not get to play last season. We will be changing our offensive scheme as well. Since our running back groups are a little different and we have a lot different, offensive personnel, we will be moving to the Ohio pistol, getting the tight ends involved with Flanagan, getting the running backs more downhill, starting behind the quarterback is definitely going to be a priority, especially since they're not as shifty as what we saw with Herschell Turner and Kai Woods. And we will get into season 1 next episode. So that will do it for the offseason. Let me know what you guys think of this roster. What are your favorite guys that you've seen, or favorite upgrades, favorite guys that could be breakout stars? I think we're in for a fun season, and I can't wait to get into it. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.